Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Monaco.
And I'm Bobby Salveson, and we are the Hazmat Guys, bringing you the knowledge and insight to make your job a little bit easier.
Before we get into the show, let's thank today's sponsors.
HazSim training systems have been in use across North America since 2011. Hazmat teams, firefighters, confined space specialists, and industrial safety trainers alike have found the value in the HazSim Pro system. HazSim brings real information-based decision-making to students from instructors safely and realistically. No more burning up sensors or pretending a 3x5 card is a meter in training. Visit hazsim.com for realistic training solutions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 88. Today, we are going to be kind of doing an overview of the whole fentanyl information that we've been bombarded with over the past couple days. For those of you that don't know, we have 3 interviews out all about fentanyl. One was from Toby Frost, one was from Brian Escamilla, one was from Christina Baxter. Some really great interviews, and they had some interesting information, and we just kind of figured we would wrap up those 3 interviews by kind of giving an idea of what we got out of them and what we walked away with. So, I guess we should just kind of
This is the first one that we're actually doing a video on, I think, right?
Yes. It's been a long time since we did a video. We did a couple of videos a while back. They're kind of up, but now we're going to try to get back into it again. So I apologize for my basement view. I know Bob's in his studios in London.
Yeah, studios, it's standing by. I should get a picture of yours and just put it on behind me, too. That'd be really weird.
With me... Put a picture of my back, so it looks like, I'm right behind you.
A lot of people aren't getting what we're saying because they're not watching this.
No, they're not. That's okay. So if you want to know what we're talking about, go to the YouTube, go to the Hazmat Guys, right? Go to our channel and subscribe, and we're going to be starting to post a lot of videos. I do recommend that. We are going to start to get more and more into video. We've got a lot of really great ideas. I think we're gonna hit a home run on that. So,
and actually, we're going to be leaving these unedited, these videos. These are where all the mistakes stay in.
Right. So in the audio, you can't see me picking my nose, but there I am. Fingers in the nostril, awesome. the whole 9 yards.
It's good stuff. All right.
All right, so
let's go.
We had 3 fantastic interviews. The whole fentanyl thing is just exploding. I feel like every day there's another story about somebody... I think the last story I heard of was somebody said fentanyl 3 times and needed Narcan. That was the last that I heard.
Exactly.
So it is definitely getting crazy out there. We had the experts on. Some of the information was conflicting. Some of them had different ideas and different points of view. So we just want to kind of do a really quick wrap up. And anything on those 3 interviews, anything stand out for you, Bob?
There was actually quite a bit. I was overwhelmed with the ease of importing it, seemingly from one country, China.
Right.
They'll make anything.
I was shocked. I was shocked. Before we did this interviews, I really honestly thought that we were dealing more with production. Like people had figured out how to produce the stuff and they were producing it. And it turns out that simple capitalism took over and it's cheaper and easier to just buy it from another country.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest things was the and how it comes through Canada, which I'm kind of curious about because I thought Canada was a little bit of a tighter border. However, it seems to come in, and these guys are getting it for nothing and exponentially increasing their money doing it. It's almost, I thought a couple times on it.
I was shocked. Toby Frost threw out a number that was for a $3,000 investment. You could turn that into $30 million.
Yeah.
And I was just staring at my hamburger going, I'm in the wrong business. We are doing something wrong.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. I'm trying to think of what was the other one. There was one more that I was like really. Oh, the potency.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to say that was in Toby Frost's, and he kind of glanced over it.
That was when we were sitting there, and he gave the carfentanil, the dosage, which was like 3 micrograms. And we kind of went, that sounds awfully low. And while we're doing the interview, I'm flipping through the phone looking for the sarin, the lethal dose, the LT50 for sarin, flipping through, and it was like 90. And I was like, holy shit. And that's the first point that I realized that this could be used as a weapon of mass destruction.
Right. Now, I mean, I will say that recently, I'm going to say within the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of, because everybody's like, holy cow, fentanyl. Everybody's going to get exposed to fentanyl. If you say, like Mike said, if you go to the mirror at night and you say it into the mirror 3 times, the fentanyl fairy comes out and takes you into the mirror or something like that. So there has been some legit fentanyl exposures. However, they've all seemed to be respiratory typed. And there was and I want to say the wrong one, but I think it was in the Slate magazine, put out a article recently with multiple doctors that were contributing into these stories, and they said, we're not buying it. We're not. The fentanyl didn't do this.
Right.
And if you read some of these white papers that we've gotten, from people all across the country, people that are involved in this. Who they are, I can't talk about it. It's classified. No, but, some people send us stuff, but, it's the transdermal time for this to go into you, even like on open skin, is like 3 hours.
Yeah. It was, shocking to see those numbers. And what was more shocking to me was that article went out across social media. And there were still people in the community who were like, I don't believe that.
Right.
I don't believe the science. And I'm like, really? I would rather not believe the story that I heard third hand.
Right. Right. There's a dragon living under the beach. And it's like, oh, come on.
Right.
Like, come on. So like, We've been, and you know what the funny thing is that, most of you guys know this, but me and Mike work for the New York City Fire Department, and, we're in we're in the specialist company. And so when these things come out, the people in charge of the department, the people in charge of the battalion, the people that are out there in the field, they call Hazmat 1 and say, what's going on with this? It's all over the news, the internet. And we're like, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not.
Right.
Like, wear your SCBA and you're good.
And then they look at us like we have 3 heads, like, why aren't you as fearful as everybody else?
Yeah, we have guys that are losing their minds about PPE, and we're going to get to PPE later. But like, I'm not buying it. I'm not one of those guys that's like, it's never the big. It's I'm not a pessimistic or optimistic. I'm a realist, and I look at things from a very wide angle, and I think that this is a potent analgesic that has other, an opioid that has certain characteristics that are beneficial. But I don't think this is the black angel of death that's just waiting for you to come up and just take a, they put it on the internet. It's like you'll see a penny with like 3 grains of sand, and like, this is enough to kill your entire family. It's like, what? Come, stop.
It is the hysteria, and I'm shocked at
fake
the hysteria.
News.
Well, they're fake news. Fake news. These guys are good. They're the best.
Fake news.
That is the worst Trump impression ever.
God.
Just gonna throw myself under the bus for that one. One of the things that I thought of, or was approaching this in the beginning, and then unapproached it later on, and then came back to it, was the idea of the production labs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I originally thought that all this was happening via production lab, and I turned around at the Toby Frost and I was like, oh wow, they're bringing this all in. And then we were talking to Christina Baxter, and she's like, yeah, they're bringing it in now, but as the Border Patrol and as all these agencies start to crack down on it, we're going to be so addicted to this drug that you're going to start to see the fentanyl stuff pop up. And she was basically like, it's going to make meth labs look like child's play.
Oh, yeah. You know what? And I off the top of my head, I don't have the flow chart all worked out in my head, but this is a lot easier to synthesize than meth. I mean, meth, the problem with meth is that you have a ton of volatile and odorous off-gassing. You have the potential for an awful lot of stuff to go wrong. This is not really that big. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but she was saying that some of the chemicals that are involved with the synthesis are worse than the chemicals in the meth lab. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind as we go from all right, we're used to going to fentanyl production, fentanyl cutting labs over to the production labs. I think it's something that we need to make sure we're constantly putting out to the community kind of what's going on. We need that feedback and then to give that out.
Right.
So a little bit of, how should we say, discrepancy on some of the information. There was some things that Brian Escamilla said that Baxter said, and they seemed to conflict. And we actually got an email about that. And the email basically said, hey, listen, one of your guests said that fentanyl was soluble and to use soap and water, and the other said it's not soluble at all. What gives? So we said, you know what? That's an excellent question, and we don't have the answers. So we're going to go to the experts, which is pretty much what we did. And Bob sent out an email to each of them. I think you literally forward that listener's email, right?
Yeah.
So Brian emailed back, and he said fentanyl is lipophilic, which means that it likes fats, right? Lipophobic would be doesn't like fats. And sparingly soluble in water. When washing with soap and water, the water acts as a surfactant and helps remove the fentanyl from the surface. The soap does not change the fentanyl structure to make it water soluble. It just helps the water wash it away. Christina Baxter's reply was fentanyl is definitely soluble in water, but only to an extent. So it's not miscible, it's soluble. And remember, anything that, when we're talking about these science terms, anything from like 0.0001 all the way to 99.999 is considered soluble, right? 0 would be insoluble and 100 would be miscible. So she says that fentanyl is definitely soluble in water, only to an extent. Fentanyl HCl, which is what we're commonly seeing on the streets, is more water soluble than fentanyl citrate. Now, the fentanyl citrate is what you find in the patch. And one of the reasons that fentanyl is 92% bioavailable in a transdermal dose is that it's both lipid soluble and water soluble at the same time.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely two different points of view. Now, I do want to give their quick backgrounds on this. Brian Escamilla is almost like a narcotics officer where he is, right? He's in that.
Yeah, he's a chemist.
All right, and Christina Baxter is an actual chemist from the DOD. So the information may be similar depending on how you view that. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, listen, they're both chemists. I mean, Brian's a chemist. Christina is a doctor of chemistry.
Right.
But I don't dismiss Brian. I listen. I know guys that are. They have nothing more than a high school GED, and they're brilliant in hazardous materials.
Sure,
brilliant. They just it sings to them. So I think
if you look at this, there's really not too much difference at all in what they're saying. They're saying that it's both going to use to be soluble in water. They're both saying you need soap and water is going to be your best bet. I think the confusion comes from really just the word not very soluble and somebody else's version of what soluble is.
Well, see, another thing in there is that Dr. Baxter put in there that it was fentanyl hydrochloride.
HCl.
HCl, which is hydrochlorides, right? So, and the other one's the fentanyl patch, which is the one that you put on there, which now the kids are taking them and they're chewing them, and that kind of stuff. one is soluble and one is not soluble. And maybe that's one of the confusions is that people are saying, this fake news thing that's coming out, people are saying, well, it's non-soluble. Well, they're talking about the citrate, but we're dealing with the hydrochloride and that kind of terminology and nomenclature is what perpetuates these stories from growing fangs.
Right, because when all is said and done, we're not acting any different between either of their answers. We're using soap and water if we want to wash this off of us.
Right. And that's one of the biggest things is that we want to wash it off of us. A lot of places, and recently I was in a conversation, we'll say, with a guy who was saying that you have to kill it with a certain solution. And I'm like, kill what? It's not alive.
It's not living.
He's like, you paraphrase. I'm like, I understand what you're saying. I said, but you're saying it over and over and over and over and over and over. And now people are saying, oh my God, you almost personified it. Like now the boogeyman has a voice.
Right.
And listen, it is a powder, and it is a chemical, and let's call a spade a spade. That's exactly what we're calling here. This is what we see. So, treat it as it is. And we'll get into it, I know, after about PPE, but, this is one of those things where we can get it off. And people are like, oh, my God, once it's on you, it's welded. You're never getting it off.
And, yeah. And both of their answers are saying soap and water, guys. And Christina Baxter even goes into how long it would take. She was basically like, if you lay in this stuff for 2 hours,
right,
you may start to feel an effect.
Right. Right, and that's pretty much naked.
Right.
You put some PPE on, and how shitty of a decon team do you need that you're sitting there going, well, I got another couple of hours. I mean, like, how long is until you get deconned?
Right.
So, I mean, as far as a police aspect, this is good. This is a good thing that we can wash our hands, soap and water.
Right.
Wash your face.
Take off your shirt, change your pair of pants. You know what? If you're a narcotics officer and you're going into this, bring a change of clothes with you.
That's a good point.
Soap and water. And I think that's where so much of this is coming from the police point of view, not the firefighter point of view. Because the firefighter point of view, we're going in there, we kind of know what's going on, we have our PPE, we are so used to throwing on respiratory protection that it really, it's not even a second thought. Whereas police officers, they're making normal busts. They're going in, they're knocking down doors, they're throwing in flashbangs. That respiratory protection really is not part of their world.
Right. So well, we'll just take, we're about at the halfway. Let's take a moment to listen to today's sponsor. Rails by Spectral Labs is a computer-based training game for first responders, hazmat teams, law enforcement, anybody that uses CBR&E equipment. Pretty much anybody that listens to this podcast. You can practice in realistic and hazardous scenarios that are difficult to simulate in training exercises. Things like an underground gas leak or a highway chemical spill, or even locating and identifying a high-activity radiation source. The best part? It's free. It's free to federal, state, and local agencies, so just email or call Spectral Labs and let them know the name of your agency and the hazmat instruments you use, and they'll take care of the rest. The email is training@spectrallabs.com, or the phone number is 858-207-3727, and then press 1 for the Rails team.
All right, let's pick up where we left off.
All right, Mike, take it away.
All right, detection of this stuff. Everybody
put it in a fentanyl meter.
A fentanyl meter, right? The fentanylometer.
The fentanometer. Yes, that's exactly what we need.
Listen, guys, you're as long as it's in your library, your Ramens, your IRs, they're all pretty much going to be able to pick this up.
Right.
We're getting emails from people who are like, "Oh, we're in works to get this in our library," and I'm like, so is everybody else.
Yeah.
Like the whole world is kind of scrambling to put this in. It's the hot topic. They're not stupid. They put it in their library. They know it's going to be worth something. Let's call a spade a spade.
Right. But, I mean, like even with the detection, a lot of times it's not just detecting it. If you have a light, airy white powder, we used to, right after September 11th, we were going on hundreds and hundreds of these things. I mean, like everybody was doing. If you had baking soda, if somebody left a dry chemical, people were going to, grease fires in a kitchen. And they would use their, ABC extinguisher in the kitchen. And then we go back there 2 hours later for a white powder run. And I'm like, you use the extinguisher to put out the fire.
Put this there.
You put it there. Yeah, but now it's terrorism,
Right. It was crazy. And we were going to white powders on the street.
Right.
I mean, somebody would break open something at the supermarket. It said cornstarch on it, and we would be going, it was crazy.
Well, here's another good thing, because normally if you're going to have some place that's synthesizing it, they're going to have certain precursors, certain things that are going to use to create that. And there's a great website by our friend Todd Burton it's called www.lab-id.net. And all you got to do is sign up with a email that's kind of official or whatever, and he will give you access. But you put in what you see there, and it tells you what kind of a lab it is. And it's really simple and good. But that's one of the things is like, there's going to be – you're not just going to have a pile of fentanyl sitting in the middle of the street with nothing around.
Right.
There's going to be other indicators saying, yeah, this is something I got to put my, spidey senses are up. I gotta look at this a little heavier. And there's other times that you look around and you say, there's a grease fire and there's white chemicals. Oh wait, they used an extinguisher. This is not a big deal.
Right. Let's not forget, we're talking respiratory. Right. Let's put all the stories aside. We're talking respiratory. So if you're going into a situation where it looks like things got kicked up and into the air, then put on some form of respiratory protection. We say all the time, the air is free, use it. So what if you didn't need it? Use it. So just, some food for thought.
And that's one of the things I do agree with. I mean, if you get even a very small amount of this respiratory, mucosa, any type of, you're probably going down.
Yes.
And the stuff, and we've talked about it because we're going to lead right into it, the stories of people ODing and stuff like that, is that, a lot of these guys, you get a heroin overdose, and we all know this nowadays. You didn't talk about this shit 10 years ago, but now, you give the guy with the heroin one shot of Narcan, and he's back up, and next week you can pick him up again. But now you get the fentanyl, carfentanil, you're talking about 5, 6, 7, 10 shots just to bring them back to respiratory rate as minimal.
Yes. Now, Bob, you were EMS for a while, right?
Yeah.
All right. So walk us through, for those people that are out there that aren't aware of how an opioid overdose goes, what is it that you see? What's presented to you?
It has been a little while, but I will say that when you have an opioid overdose, certain things happen. Usually you're going to get respiratory depression. You get pupillary reactions.
Now they pinpoint, right? Or they constrict. I'm sorry, they blow up or they constrict.
Dilate.
So they blow up.
Yeah, because sludgem is pinpoint, and I think opioid is dilate.
Yes.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure about that. So the thing is that when the respiratory rate is depressed enough, then we have to either bag them, to BVM them and kind of bring them out. But what we'll do in ALS is that we'll give what we call the party pack, and it was thiamine, it was dextrose, it was Narcan, just to see if we can bring them up. And it would say, okay, well, is he diabetic or is he, whatever. So, the fact that we're using so much Narcan to counteract this stuff, it speaks to the potency. This in medical terms, is like a chemical titration. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know how strong the acid or base is, so we got to keep throwing the other side in until it comes back to 7. And this is so strong on that one side that I need 5 Narcans to bring it back to neutral.
Right.
That's insane.
Which brings other issues to the equation, because Narcan can produce flash pulmonary edema.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there, we're giving this stuff out like aspirins at 7-Eleven now, and people are just they're taking it over and over again, and it can lead to other complications. It's not a all is safe type of a drug.
Yeah, it's safer than most, where you can almost use it diagnostically, where you can pump that stuff into, let's say, a diabetic, and it has no effect. Well, then obviously he's not on heroin or some type of opioid, we'll say, But we're giving this stuff out to everyone. Like kids in school are carrying around in their backpacks.
Yeah.
Which is almost condoning, and I'm not getting to the politics of it or anything, but you're almost condoning and saying, back in the day, if you heroined and you went a little too far, you died, and you didn't have a chance to do it again. Now these guys, they can walk that razor's edge, because if they fall into the one side, we'll get there, we'll give them a squirt up the nose, try it again next time, bro, and we come back next week.
Right.
Right.
Sometimes
and
at night.
Right. So like this is a big deal, and I only see it getting bigger because with this being cut more into the heroin, which heroin, at least in our area, is an epidemic level. It's insane here.
So the reason that I asked you about that, Bob, was because the biggest key on this is the respiratory depression. If you went on a call and you suddenly feel anything, all right, that doesn't mean that you're going to instantly die from a narcotics overdose, right? You have to be, in order to be overdosing, and the major way that you die from a narcotics overdose like heroin or fentanyl or carfentanil is that your respiratory system shuts down.
Yeah, it's from what I've read. And again, I could be wrong, but from what I've read on the white papers, because I'm kind of into this stuff, is that it has a profound analgesic, like you're going on an anesthesia. You have this minor euphoria. You start feeling really good. You're like, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden, you start getting a little fuzzy around the edges because you don't notice that you're not breathing enough. You're not taking enough air in.
Right.
And so, unbeknownst to you, you're just stopping breathing, and you're still like, this is awesome. Why can't I hear? I hear things weird, and there's ringing in the ears. It's basically because you're going hypoxic. You're just not breathing enough.
Right.
So
think about that. Listen to these stories, and when you hear them, if you hear, Joe from ladder 3 got, he walked in and he suddenly felt weird and they gave him Narcan. Be like, well, why did they give him, was there a reason for it other than he just felt weird? That's all I'm trying to get at with that.
The guy, Joe could have ate 5 In-N-Out burgers 10 minutes before, and he has indigestion. Don't go right for, oh, shit, it's got to be fentanyl.
Yeah, because
it's got to be fentanyl.
People have felt bad on, food on the stove or, odors in the hallway or anything like that. Like, we've been taking hits of stuff and feeling weird as long as dogs have been in firehouses, which is thousands of years.
Yeah.
So don't jump right to the fentanyl thing. All right, Bob, my biggest question for you, because this is really kind of what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
We've got 2 of our guests who said level A is the only way to go, and one that said they're out of their minds, level C, with a minimum of an N100 mask. What's your thought?
All right. I've been, I'll say right out that I'm more of the C. All right. I understand why they say level A, and let me give you my 2 cents on this thing, is that we use a level A for a chemical that is either a vapor or a presence that's going to go transdermal. Right, if it's
or affect our skin really bad,
or affect our skin, right? Because if it's a chemical that's going to affect my respiratory, well, then just wear your SCBA. You know what I'm saying? Like, I only get my level A's when I have something that's going to go transdermal. And I have to, therefore, protect my rig and protect my body, the skin. That's my biggest organ, right? I have to protect that. If I don't have to protect that, then I drop down to a B or a C or a D or flip-flops and underwear, whatever I got to do. So what they were saying was that when this dust goes into your SCBA frame and the straps and the cloth, that it's going to be nearly impossible to remove. And that when you put it back on the on the rig, right, in the clips or whatever it is, and the next guy goes up and grabs it and pulls it out, he's going to instantly drop. Die. Like, oh, they must have been fat and dead.
Not even a chance to get it out.
No, that's it. So, actually, that's how I hope to go. So, I don't now. Reading more about this is that this stuff is easily removed with a soap, water, and there's other things like the Dahlgrens and the brew tabs and all these other things that are out there that are supposedly able to kill, I'll say, these things out there. But, you know, my concern is that we're not going to clean it up enough. All right. And I don't think it is. So can we go to a C? Again, C is going to protect my skin, and my respiratory is going to be addressed by that N95 mask or the PAPR or the APR, whatever you pick. So as long as we're cognizant of that, I think we can play.
Yeah, I think the APR is a really good choice in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not dealing with straps. Every surface that's exposed is a hard surface and can be wiped down. Your netting is inside of your hood. You can tape off if you really want to, if you want to go hardcore, you can tape off and make sure that you're good. But, if I was worried, if that was my choice and I was told, okay, it's level A because you don't want to screw up your SCBA, or level C with an APR, I honestly would probably go the APR route.
I'll tell you. Let me put a little different spin on this. If I'm going to go, and I've heard this. Oh well, it's a money thing. Okay, so all right, I'm going to put on a $2,000 suit to protect the $4,000 SCBA on my back. I understand you're saving $2,000 on it, but I already know my oxygen level, right? I'm not going into a hypoxic area, so that's one of those things that I can go on an APR. So, let's say I put on my APR. My whole ensemble, my level C ensemble costs what? $100?
Yeah.
And I'm getting the same work out of it.
Right. And
why wouldn't I?
You're actually better off, right? You're not limiting your five senses. You're not limiting your sense of sight. You're not limiting your ability to feel your surroundings, your ability to walk around. All that stuff, you get all of that back by going into a level C.
And the other thing is, it's easily accessible and easily trainable from everybody from a cop to a sanitation worker to a fireman to a mortician to a bartender. It doesn't really matter who you put it in. I can say, listen, this is how you zip it up. You peel the tape, you stick it over the top, and now you just basically click in this thing and you go to work and you do whatever you got to do. It's easier. For me to train you to do in a level A, I can't just say, okay, listen, I'm going to get you in a level A, and there's a lot more to the level A than just getting the guy zipped in,
Right.
So that's my thing is, I'm going to say 99% of the time, I'm going to be pushing hard for a C.
I would agree.
Unless there's something where my face piece might get dislodged, like a police officer. If he goes into a hot scene, these knuckleheads are in there. They're in there, and I'm going in, and there might be a little tussle, and I might kick up some of this dust, or this guy might grab my face piece and pull it away. Okay, something like that.
But then even so, like, if you're looking at it from an officer's point of view like that, you're not making your initial gangbanger entry in a level A.
No, not even, because, how can you go in with long guns and hot sticks?
Yeah.
So, in all reality, if I, and again, maybe it's just me because I'm a little more comfortable with it or whatever it might be. I would consider, and I'm a little bit leery about saying this right now, but I'm going to say it anyway. If I was on the police department and I was going in to do an entry, I would go in with maybe a C, and if even that wasn't up, I'd probably put on a Nomex hood and long sleeve pants and shorts and just go in. And when I come out, I'm going to strip, I'm going to wash head to toe, and I'll be okay. And you know what? Worst case, I feel good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be like, this isn't so bad. You're going to have a little bit of an analgesic and you're going to feel pretty good. But, I mean, really.
Yeah, we bring people back all the time who have way overdosed.
Yeah.
Am I really that close to death because I'm a good guy and not a bad guy? I don't know. It just, the stories just seem a little outrageous, but decon solution. All right. There's a couple things. They all pretty much agree on soap and water. We had Christina Baxter, who said that there are in fact some solutions out there that are absolutely 100% within 2 minutes cleave the or oxidize the fentanyl, and it is rendered obsolete. Not there. It is broken. It is killed. as we cringe when we hear, and that some of these solutions are actually non-harmful to things like your SCBA. You can use them on materials, you just don't want to spray them on people. So there are solutions out there. There are, this is something you're going to come across a lot, definitely go and start to do your research on some of these products because
right.
From what we hear, they have some very good lab results, and they do their job.
Yeah, it's good stuff. The decontamination solution. See, there's a couple out there, and I don't want to push them or anything like that because some of them are out there are being pushed really, really, really hard as the end-all, be-all fixer of it, and is really only, as far as I can find, only one that's out there that's really been put through the pace.
Now,
I'm
not saying manufacturers, but the one you're talking of was the one that was developed by the Navy.
But
right?
Exactly.
Like 20 years ago, has huge studies and stuff like that.
Enormous. And they're using real deal stuff. So, I mean, you can check it out. I'm not going to really get into it because I don't really want to press anybody's product or anything like that. But there are things out there that are, and please don't give the boogeyman a voice. It's not going to get killed. It's going to neutralize it so that it's ineffective as chemically.
Right.
But do you need to do that? No. Just don't get it on you.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
I tell you what, I'll give you a quick little story that's happening as we speak right now in a department that we are relatively familiar with. I won't give it its name, but there was a company that was exposed to drugs on the stove type of environment, and firefighters' gears were exposed, and they don't have a clue as to what to do with them. And the department and that union that represents those firefighters reached out to the DEA, and the DEA was basically like, "Oh, you gotta dispose of that gear. Like, that gear is untouchable. It is,
right.
It is something that that can no longer be serviced. You can't even think about it. If you go within 3 feet of it, you will burst into flames." But there is, please do. I mean, I'm trying to reach out to that union and be like, you guys got to get good information. Please do your research. I'm not saying the information that we're going to provide is the end all be all,
right?
But I promise you this: before we go talking about a product, we are going to do our research on it, because we will not discuss a product that we don't feel comfortable with on this show.
Right. It's yeah. We'll leave it at that.
And then last but not least, thoughts on carfentanil as a WMD.
See, and I'm kind of leery of saying it because there's going to be some knuckleheads out there being like, oh, we can do this. And trust me, we're not the first guys to say this. You know, like it's easily accessible. It's easy to keep up in the air. If you mill it down to the point where it's talcum, it's very easy to do the Fuji dust to the eyes. You know, like you throw it up there and the transdermal is not the problem, but it's the inhalation. So if you were to do this on a crowded area, I think you'd have the impact you wanted.
I would agree.
You know?
And, there was a second reason why I had Bob go through the overdose effects, because I want to really drive home this point in case there ever was, or you were to respond to that WMD, you don't need to necessarily be pushing the Narcan. You can keep somebody alive who's overdosing with a BVM.
Right. They can live with that in there. It's they die from the respiratory.
Right. So as long as you can keep their airway open and clear and keep them breathing, you can do that until you get ALS on scene or somebody with the Narcan, whether it's the spray, and dose them up. So if you're responding to this, just know from an incident commander's thought or point of view, you need one medical person for every person down to be able to sit there and perform bag valve mask.
Right. And even the carfentanil, it's been done before. I don't remember exactly when, but there was a theater in Russia or something like that.
Yes.
That was under siege, and there was hostages taken, and what they did was they threw this stuff inside, and then everybody in the theater basically died, including the terrorists.
Yeah.
They threw carfentanil in there. Yep. And they didn't have enough Narcan to reverse, because their plan was let the terrorists die and let the civilians give them the Narcan, bring them back, and everybody will go home happy. And they kind of ran short. So it's being used as tactics, and that's got to be almost 10 years old, that idea.
Yes, it's definitely out there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
I think that's pretty much it.
Hopefully we brought it all together. I don't know.
All right. We'll see. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at any point in time, and we can hopefully point you in a good direction based upon your question. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Hazmat Guys.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at the Hazmat Guys. And take a moment to call our comment hotline at 843-628-1484.
We are always looking forward to your feedback about information or interesting incidents that you are part of. So send us a note at feedback@thehazmatguys.com.
And remember, guys, don't just get on the job, get into the job.